However, in the context of money, it's more like 90 to 10. 90% of the wealth is owned by just 10% of the population. The same principle applies to the Hollywood stars, athletes, musicians, and investors in the US. 90% of all shares are owned by 10% of people. Why do the wealthy accumulate so much wealth? One reason is that some investments are simply unavailable to those in poverty. When the author was young and had little money, he approached his wealthy friends to ask if he could join their business ventures. However, despite their relationship, they always said no, not out of malice but because it would have been illegal. Certain investments are restricted by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to accredited investors defined as those with a net worth of $1 million or an annual income of $200,000. In short, anyone who is less wealthy or earns less is not allowed to participate. While these regulations are in place to protect those with limited financial resources from risky investments, they also prevent the poor from accessing the wealthiest people's best opportunities. How then can one enter the top 10%? Actionable step 2. Developing the mindset of becoming wealthy is very important. You'll be alright as you get an education, work hard, and save money. This typical middle-class approach to financial stability is likely something your parents told you. The problem is following this advice won't make you wealthy. You'll remain in the 90% that owns 10% of the wealth. So how do the wealthy accumulate financial gain? They don't work at one job until retirement. Instead, they invest and buy companies. But because of the U.S. tax system, employees always have less money to invest. For example, to save $1,000, you must earn around $1,300 after taxes. Inflation also reduces your savings value and you pay taxes on the interest. Business owners, however, can invest more because they use pre-tax income to buy assets and pay taxes later. Employees are at a disadvantage due to taxes on their income. Investments and owning business are superior routes to wealth because business owners often have more money to invest and bear less risk, unlike employees who depend on jobs that can be unstable. Investors are often better positioned financially. Actionable step 3. Finance knowledge can lead to wealth. Wealth can be unlocked through financial literacy. Many people shy away from investing because the terminology feels foreign. However, if you want to join the 10%, it's essential to invest in your financial education. First, understand the distinction between assets and liabilities. Wealthy people never mix the two, while others often do, leading to poor financial decisions. For example, many homeowners say my home is a tremendous asset, but this is usually incorrect. A true asset generated positive cash flow. If you have a $150,000 mortgage on a $200,000 home, where is the money coming from? Through your mortgage fees and insurance. It's flowing out, not in. It's actually a liability because you're unsure you'll sell it for a profit. To make wise investments like the wealthy, you need to understand financial terms. To evaluate a rapidly growing tech company stock, you need to calculate metrics like the debt-to-equity ratio, return on equity, cash-on-cash return, and financial leverage. If you don't even know your mortgaged house is a liability, it's no wonder you may think wealthy investments are too risky. Anything you don't understand seems dangerous, so invest in becoming financially literate. It could be your best investment. Actionable step 4. Different types of investors require unique skills and mindsets. When we think of investors, we often picture busy men on trading floors or bankers in suits. However, the term investor includes various individuals such as bond dealers and company founders. Accredited and qualified investors are at the top of the investor hierarchy. Accredited investors meet legal requirements for a wide range of investments and have significant wealth or income. Qualified investors, equally wealthy, also have financial literacy and the ability to analyze companies and the market changes. However, both are external investors with little control over their assets. Inside investors, on the other hand, create their own assets by founding companies. They can earn money through their company or sell it for a profit to become a top investor. Inside investors must learn to evaluate other companies using their expertise. A sophisticated investor knows how to leverage taxes and laws to their advantage. Now is the time to start working towards insider knowledge and wealth-building opportunities. Actionable step 5. Starting a business is a viable route to wealth. If you're not rich yet, invest from within. Many people believe they'll never be able to start their own business. However, 120 years ago, 85% of Americans worked as small business owners or independent farmers. In other words, you can be a business person too. While being affluent is required to be an accredited or qualified investor, starting a business only takes a little imagination. For example, the author started his first business as a child by convincing a retailer to give him old comic books. He then created a successful comics book library and charged a 10-cent membership fee. Time and money are reasons many delay starting a business. But some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs began part-time. Michael Dell launched Dell Computers part-time in his university dorm, and Jeff Bezos started Amazon part-time in his garage. After starting a business, you can reinvest the profits, expand, sell, or even go public, opportunities employees may never experience. We all have the ability to start a business, but let's explore the fundamental ideas behind a successful company. Actionable Step 6. Develop a thriving company by mastering purpose, leadership, and teamwork. Did you know that the software that made Bill Gates the richest man in the world wasn't his invention? He simply purchased it from some coders. His success wasn't due to a great product but a fantastic business. To launch a business, 3 things must be mastered. First, a business must have a spiritual mission. Henry Ford exemplified this. His goal wasn't just making money but democratizing the automobile, making it accessible to everyone. Wealth came as a result of his relentless pursuit of this mission. To stay on course, find a spiritual mission that aligns with your financial goals. Second, a team is essential. You may be an accountant, insurer, or lawyer, but you can't be all 3. Successful business leaders understand that investing in their teams leads to greater wealth. Third, a leader is necessary for any team. A bad leader won't be followed. As anyone who's been in the military knows, being a leader is a skill. It's more important to bring out the best in others than to be the best yourself. How can you develop leadership skills? Volunteering is a great way. Many groups need leaders, so offer to lead at work, in your community, or at a place of worship. It's a great way to receive feedback and improve. To succeed in business, you also need one additional personal skill. Actionable Step 7. Good communication is an important skill to the success of business owner. Raising capital, advertising, negotiating, motivating your team, and making sales. What do all these aspects of business life have in common? They all require excellent communication skills. So how can you improve these skills? A tried and true strategy is spending time in a sales training program. Network marketing companies often provide excellent programs. The 2 essential abilities of a salesperson are acquired by shy people who are afraid of failing. The capacity to confidently convey a product's worth and the courage to accept rejection. If you can master these 2 traits, you'll probably be an effective communicator. When you have to interact with an investor, negotiate better conditions, or motivate your staff, this quality would be evident. In addition to when you are selling your goods or services, consider more than just what you say. If you want to be a great communicator, your physical attributes are equally, if not more significant. Research on public speakers reveals that body language accounts for 55% of their influence, speech for 35%, and words for only 10%. All of the corporate executive you know most likely have the appropriate appearance, don't you think? And this can really make a big difference. The author heard from a banking buddy that his bank had recently appointed a new president due to his attractiveness. The new hire just spoke and looked like a bank president should. The president's appearance would bring in new business, but the board would still manage the bank. It will be beneficial in many ways to learn how to look the part and communicate. It's an investment worth making, much like raising your level of financial awareness. Actionable Step 8. Gaining business mastery paves the way to becoming a skilled investor. It's time to take things to the next level by putting your money and experience to use. It's time to develop your investing skills. You will have more authority over administration, corporate structure, taxation, and investment choices. As a more experienced investor, the outcome maximized profits. Let's examine a restaurant run by 2 industrious Americans named Bill and Jane. They only have one source of income because they are a solo proprietorship. They pay a regular personal income tax and are held accountable in the event of an incident such as a lawsuit brought by a sick customer. They have everything in one basket. I don't mean to offend Bill and Jane, but the astute investor is aware of this. 2 corporations would be his. Both Jane and Bill would own the building where the restaurant is located and the restaurant itself. This spreads the risk in the event that a patron becomes ill and files a lawsuit against the restaurant. The real estate is protected by law. In the meantime, costs like health insurance and legal fees are paid for before taxes under the corporate form since they are classified as business expenses. The corporate rate of taxation is lowered, reduced risk, lower taxes, and higher profits. As an astute investor, you understand how to make your money work for you regardless of what you wish to invest in. A typical retirement strategy would involve putting $15,000 a year into a 401k plan with the expectation of an 8% return. A sophisticated investor is more likely to put money into a company venture, real estate, and a few stocks and shares. He can detect the best possibilities and determine what is truly dangerous and what isn't by using the knowledge he gained from starting his own firm and investing in his financial education and literacy. You have to work for your money if you take the ordinary strategy. With the second strategy, you make your money work for you. Avoid being mediocre. As I conclude, this book's main takeaway is that you have to think and behave like a wealthy investor. If you want to be wealthy, this entails putting more of an emphasis on invest in assets and growing a firm than on finding work and saving money. By doing this, you may create and manage an investment portfolio that increases your wealth and produces income. Why not choose between wealth, comfort, and security? Spend some time thinking carefully about what your top priorities are: wealth, comfort, or security. Although they represent very distinct options and results, neither is superior to the other. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages with your family or partner. You have the necessary mindset if you are certain that being wealthy is your top priority. Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. Robert T. Kiyosaki. Introduction. Rich Dad's Guide to Understanding Investment by Robert Kiyosaki is a powerful financial guide that demystifies the world of investing. Known for his Rich Dad,